Hi, I'm Dan, this is our midlife crisis motorcyclist, and welcome to Milan for the unveiling of the new Norton motorcycle lineup, including this rather spectacular Manx R that you see behind me. Now, if the time that you're watching this, the covers will have officially come off this bike and the three others that Norton is showing here in Milan at the EICMA show. I'm actually filming this from a preview evening the night before, brought to you with the magic of time travel, or maybe just an embargo. Anyway, before we get into the details of the bike itself, let's just have a look at Norton and kind of how it's got to where it is now. So 2020, Norton was bought out by the Indian conglomerate TVS Motor. It set about a massive rejuvenation of the existing range, the 961 Commando and the V4 SV and CR models. It's poured £200 million of investment into a new factory in Solihull and workforce to populate it, and it is kicking off a whole new generation of Norton bikes with the Manx R, the Manx Naked and the Atlas adventure bikes that we are seeing tonight. Now, the fact that it's based in Solihull raises an interesting collaboration with nearby Jaguar Land Rover, which is also Indian owned, of course, but although there's no commercial tie-up between the two brands, there is a bit of a creative one in the form of Jerry McGovern, who is JLR's chief creative officer, the man best known for the Evoque, Range Rover Sport, cars like that, and the man overseeing Jaguar's reinvention from a heritage brand into what he calls exuberant modernism. Is he bringing some of that to Norton? Well, we can talk about that in a bit, but first of all, let's just have a look at the bike itself. Now, the engine at the heart of this Manx R sounds familiar. It's a 1200cc 72-degree V4, which on paper sounds very similar to that in the V4 SV. It's not, apparently. It's an all-new engine, so it develops its 206 horsepower at 11,000 RPM, 130 newton meters at 9,000, which are pretty impressive stats and live up to Norton's earlier promise that its new bike would have at least 1 horsepower per kilogram. The rest of the bike is different from that which went before, so it's got a cast aluminium frame. It's got the carbon fibre bodywork as before. It's a very trick bike with all the latest tech, so it's got semi-active Marzocchi suspension, it's got all the rider aids you could wish for, but they're said to be very unobtrusive, and the style of the bike is interesting because unlike a lot of modern sports and superbikes, there's no kind of aero or anything like that on the bike. It's got a very clean look, and that kind of plays to Norton's dream that this is a more road usable bike. They say it's everyday. It's a 200 horsepower plus sports bike that's meant to be everyday usable. I'm not quite sure how that plays out, but we shall see, won't we? But Norton's crunched a lot of numbers, a lot of data. It's done telemetry on the way that people ride their sports bikes and figured out actually the kind of 13,000 plus revs that you need to get peak power on a Panigale V4 is just wasted, because by their telemetry, most people riding sports bikes are usually in the kind of up to 11,000 RPM range, which is where this bike performs at its best. It's designed to perform on the road, which is why it's got this clean look without the kind of aero and all that kind of stuff. It's got all the rider modes and things like that you'd expect, but yeah, it's designed to perform on the road. I'm sure it'll go very well on the track as well, but that is hence the Manx name, to link back to road racing. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that plays out on the road. So that is the Manx R. We go over here, we've got the Manx Roadster. I suppose it's a super naked, a hyper naked, whatever we want to call it. But this is basically the same bike as the Manx R, same engine, same 206 horsepower output, same carbon bodywork, all that kind of stuff, but in a slightly more kind of, a roadster format. So same sort of deal, very powerful, very fast, and probably very expensive bike. We don't know the pricing yet for this or the Manx R, but bear in mind the V4 SV was a 44 grand bike when it came out, so they're not going to be cheap, are they? But let's wander over to a slightly more real world interpretation of Norton's new beginning, and this is the Atlas adventure bike, which is a bit more of a real world proposition really. So it's got a 585cc parallel twin with about 70 horsepower or so apparently, around that kind of mark, so it's a bit more usable. It's got a tubular steel frame underneath that plastic cladding, so it's slightly more real world spec. It's got bi-bay brakes, things like that. So yeah, this is the kind of classic mid-size adventure bike competing with all those other similar bikes in this kind of price range, or at least ability range. And this one here is the more off-road focused one with the wire wheels. You'll see it there, it's got the big 8-inch TFT dash. That's a common feature on all these new Nortons as well. So a combination of tech, and it's got a very distinctive style. It doesn't look like other adventure bikes. I think that's very interesting. They've obviously taken a deliberate decision not to make any of these bikes look retro, but give them a kind of style of their own. Again, that's that Jerry McGovern thing. I think reductionist is his great turn of phrase when it comes to this kind of thing, working together with Norton's in-house designer, Simon Skinner. They seem to have a very common idea of what Norton should look like in this new age. So that is the Atlas adventure bike. And then if we go over here, we have the GT version of the Atlas, which is the same sort of thing, but a more road optimized bike with cast wheels. I think a smaller front wheel. We don't actually know many of the tech specs on this bike yet, but same basic engine, 70-ish horsepower, mid-size parallel twin, and a kind of all-round adventure tourer type bike. So there we go. These are the 4 bikes that Norton will be showing here in Milan. So 2 versions of Manx, 2 versions of Atlas, and they both have this display this kind of new modern look. There's nothing retro about the new Norton. Be interested to hear what you think about that. So let's have a chat in the comments thread. Should Norton be going ahead with this modern style? Should it be harking back to its traditions? So let's have a chat about that in the comments. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit like. If you're not subscribed already, please do so. That would be lovely. And for now, I'll say goodbye. Thanks for watching and ride safe.